Hello students, welcome to my social study class. Today I am going to discuss chapter number 14, the birth of United Nation. The birth of United Nation. It's an organization. So in this chapter, we are going to know what is the reason behind the birth of United Nation, how United Nation works, what is the importance of United Nations, etc. So without wasting time, let's start the chapter. See. The machine age and the industrial revolution in Europe brought about many changes. During the 17th and 18th century, the machine age and the industrial revolution in Europe brought many changes. What kind of a changes? See, in Europe and America, many big factories were established for mass production during that period of a time. Okay, they brought raw materials from various countries to produce more. What kind of things they produce? See, they brought raw materials at a very high prices. They brought raw materials from at very high prices. They became very powerful and built strong ships and vigor and better weapons. They built strong ships and vigor and better weapons. Okay. They often fought among themselves. Many countries that period of time, they fought among themselves. Understood? Sometimes what happened, and small quarrel or small battles led to be a big war also. Understood? That period of time, they fought among themselves. That is why they developed themselves. They restored many weapons also that period of time. Now, the main thing is what? See, the first half of the 20th century witnessed the two world wars in which many countries were involved. The first half of the 20th century witnessed two big wars, which is also called World War. Understood? Why it is called World War? Because many countries participated that time. Nearly 30 countries, around 30 countries they participated these two war. Okay. The first World War was fought from 1914 to 1918 and Second World War was fought from 1939 to 1945. Okay. About World War, when school will reopen, I will tell you the story of both the World War I and World War II. Okay, you just remind me once. Okay, now come to the topic. So, when First World War fought? In the 1914 to 1918. And Second World War 1939 to 1945. Okay. So millions of people were killed during the World War. Millions of people were killed. Okay. Several cities were destroyed. Among them, you know that Hiroshima and Nagasaki destroyed within a second. So when America dropped the atom bomb, is not it? Yes. Now, families suffered and innocent people were the worst victims. Many families suffered. Innocent people were killed. They were worst victims. Understood? There was sorrows and horror everywhere. During the World War period. Understood what I said? So can you imagine the situation? Now what happened? See, the League of Nations was formed after the First World War to maintain peace, but it failed to prevent the Second World War. After the First World War, people realized the destruction of a war. So that is why they formed the League of Nations. It's an organization. They formed the League of Nations. But this organization failed to stop the Second World War. And as a result, Second World War broke out. Understood what I said? Then what happened? See, Second World War, which was more destructive than the First World Wars. If you compare to the Second World War with the First World War, Second World War was the most destructive one. Understood what I said? Atom bombs were dropped by the USA on the two Japanese cities, namely Hiroshima and Nagasaki. For the first time, atomic bomb dropped by the America in two Japanese cities, namely Hiroshima and Nagasaki. As a result, what happened? These cities were completely destroyed in minutes. These two cities were completely destroyed. Millions of people died. Innocent people died. Understood? Soldiers to died one way, innocent people also died. Understood what I said? So can you imagine the destruction? Can you imagine the destruction? What happened during the World War? Okay. Now, many nations of the world now decided to establish an organization more effective than the League of Nations. Then after the Second World War, people were desperate to form a new organization which is really stronger than the League of Nations, who really can stop the further war. People realized the danger, people were witnessed the danger of the war. So that is why they were agreed to form a new organization which can really protect from the further war. Okay, now as a result, what happened? Many nations of the world now decided to establish an organization more effective than the League of Nations. Okay, this decision gave birth the United Nations organization, which is called in short UNO, and this decision gave the birth of the United Nations organization. In short, we can say UNO. And this is the way for the first time our United Nations organizations formed. Understood what I say? Okay, now delegates of 50 countries met in San Francisco to draft a charter of the United Nations. For the first time, 50 nations, they met together the San Francisco and formed the draft and charter for the United Nations. Understood? So remember that India was the first member of India was among the 50 nations. India also be the part of it. Understood what I say? Our country also be the part of it for the first time. Among the 50 nations, our country also was there. Understood what I said? Now, the United Nations came into being on 24th October 1945. The United Nations came into force on the 24th October 1945. Okay, now, this day is celebrated as a United Nations Day every year throughout the world. This day, it means which day? 24th October celebrated United Nations Day throughout the whole country, whole world. Understood what I say? Now, Charter of the United Nations is its constitution. Charter of the United Nations, its constitution. Okay. Its main objective are security and development. The main objective of the United Nations was what? Security and development. Understood. Now, the main purpose and goals set before the UNO were, what is the main purpose or goals of the UNO? See, number one, work for peace and security of every country of the world and save future generation from war. For the first objective was what? That time, work for peace and security, to maintain the peace and give the security to the people of every country of the world and save future generation from war. Save future generation from further war. Okay, this was the first objective that time. Now, secondly, promote friendly relation and cooperation among the nations of the world. Promote friendly relation with one another, one nation with another. Understood? And cooperation among the nation of the world. Maintain the congenial and friendly relation with one country with another country. Next is what? See, solve economic, social, cultural, human problems peacefully in cooperation with every nation. Cooperation with every nation, solve different problems like economic problems, social problem, cultural problem, human problems peacefully. This was also be the objective. Understood? Now you see once in your book, page number 85, how the UN Assembly, United Nations Assembly look like. Picture also given, you can see. Okay, now come to the point. Point number 4 is what? See, promote human freedom and human rights all over the world in cooperation with a nation. Promote human freedom and human rights. What is human rights? Later I will discuss. Is there in your book. I will discuss about the human rights later. Now, promote human freedom, and this was also be the objective that time. Promote human freedom and human rights all over the world in cooperation with every nation. Cooperation with every nation, promote the freedom and the human rights. Number 5 is what? Remove differences based on race, religion, language, sex among the people of the world. what? Remove the differences on the basis of religion, language, race, sex, etc. And what? Give more freedom to the people. Next is what? See, assist nation in these tasks and coordinates their efforts. Assist all the nation in these tasks and coordinate their efforts to make it a real one, to assist all the nation to do the tasks, to make it a real. Understood what I said? Now, today the UNO has been able to achieve many of its goals. Today, we can see that UNO almost achieved many of its goals, but still, it is yet to solve many other problems. Problems like what? But it's yet to solve many other problems of the world, such as illiteracy. Still need to work more to remove the illiteracy from all over the world, and poverty also. Understood? Many countries still suffer. Many people in this world, they live below poverty line, so UN work on it. Next what? Poor health. Understood? And increase in population. So these all problems yet to solve, and UNO try to solve those problems. Now, the United Nations is what? Striving hard to meet all its goals. UNO working hard to meet all these goals. Okay. Now, the United Nations prepared a list of human rights called Universal Declaration of Human Rights. United Nations prepared a list which is called the list of human rights, which is called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It was adopted on 10 December 1948. It was adopted 10 December 1948. Okay, which is celebrated as a Human Rights Day. If question will come, which day is celebrated as a Human Rights Day? 10th December 1948. Okay, remember that. All over the world. 10th December 1948, which is celebrated as a Human Rights Day all over the world. Okay, now we are going to know some of the important rights or some of the important human rights. Or what is important human rights? Let's see. Number one, all people should have the right to live as citizens. Like we are living as a citizen of India. You know, we are living in this country as a citizen of India. So this is our human rights. Understood what I say? So all people should have the right to live as citizens. Number one. Next, number two, all people should be equal before law. All people should be equal before law. If you are rich, if you are poor, if you are Hindu, Muslim, Christian, doesn't matter. You are what? You should be equal before law. If you commit any punishment, whoever you are, you will get the, if you commit any mistakes, if you break any law, whoever you are, you will get the punishment according to the law. There is no discrimination in respect of your caste, religion, gender, rich, poor, whatever it is. You are equal before law. Next, all people should have the right to education. Now you children taking education, this is your human rights as well as it's your fundamental rights also. Understood what I say? So we all have a right to take the education. It is also part of human rights. Okay. Now, all people should have the freedom to travel anywhere. Now you see people can travel anywhere, any corner of the world. We can go one part to the another part of the within the country and outside the country also. You can go one country to the another country also, because this is our human rights. Okay, so that is why you can travel anywhere. Now, everyone should have freedom to worship. If you are Muslim, you can go to the mosque. You are Hindu, you can go to the temple. You are Christian, you can go to the church. It's your rights. It's your human rights. So, this provided by the United Nations to us. So, what happened? All people should have the freedom to travel. Everyone should have the freedom to worship. Understood? Next is what? Everyone should have the right to employment. If you are able to work you have the right to get the work for living. So, we have rights for work. Everyone should have the right to employment. Understood? For our living, we have a right. Next is what? There should be equal pay for equal work. This is most important. There should be equal pay for equal work. If you work 8 hours, so you should be paid for this. Understood? There should be no discrimination. So whatever works you do, you should be paid for this. Understood? That is why says there should be a equal pay for equal work. There should not be any discrimination. Understood what I said? Now, every individual should have a freedom to speech and right. Every individual have freedom of speech and freedom of right. We can speak. If any discrimination is going on, we have a right to speech. We have a right to write. Understood what I say? Next and last is what? See, every person should be free to marry according to his or her wish. Very interesting one. When you are going to get married, you have a right to choose your husband and wife. Is not it? Yes. Every person should be free to marry according to his or her wish. Okay. I hope you understood. So these all 9 points come under the human rights. Understood? This is our fundamental as well as our human rights. Understood what I said? Now, lastly, these rights are the needed of every human being. Don't you think we all human beings need these rights? Yes, of course we need these rights. The needs of every human being. We need these rights. Okay. The United Nations is working to make all these rights a reality in every country of the world. The United Nations is working hard to make it a reality one from each and every country of the world. Understood what I said? India is also a member of the UN now. Our country is also a member of the United Nations organization. Okay. It was among the first 50 nations who signed the United Nations Charter. As I said before, that India was the first member who signed the United Nations Charter for the first time. For the first time means what? In the year 1945, 24th October, when for the first time United Nations was established. For the first time, the main agenda was to maintain peace and check the war. Is not it? For that reason, for the first time United Nations was established 24th October 1945. Remember that. Now, today it has 192 members country. Today, United Nations total member country is 192. Understood? It may sometime increase, sometime decreases. Why? Its membership is open to all peace-loving nations. The membership of United Nations is open to all the peace-loving nations. They can be the member of the United Nations also, and they can left also. Understood? That is why this number sometimes increases and decreases also. So this all about the birth of the United Nations. I hope you understood this chapter. If you have any problem, you have my number and also particular time given. You can call me by the time and you can solve your problem. And one more thing, one more important thing about World War and World War II, though it is not your topic, but I will tell you the story of World War and World War II right after the school will reopen. You just inform me once. I will explain about World War I and World War II during the regular classes. Okay, so that's all for today. The birth of the United Nations. Thank you so much.